He used to be obsessed with you. You could feel it in every glance, every text, every plan he made for the future. But now, something's changed. He doesn't call as much. His replies are slower, colder. He used to light up when he saw you. Now, it feels like you're trying to force a spark back into something that used to burn on its own. And deep down, you know it. He's losing interest. But here's the truth. Most won't tell you. Interest doesn't fade randomly. It dies in silence, killed by the things you didn't even know you were doing. Not because you're not beautiful, not because you're not worthy, but because somewhere along the way, you stopped being a challenge and started being an option. Men lose interest when they feel like they've already won, when there's no more mystery, no more chase, no more sense of value. The moment you begin to overinvest, overtext, overthink, he subconsciously begins to pull away. It's psychological, it's primal, and it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to understand it, if you want to reverse it. A man's desire is sparked by curiosity, but his commitment is fueled by your self-respect. If you start changing who you are just to keep his attention, if you abandon your standards just to hold on to a connection, you're handing him the power, and he feels it. He doesn't need to chase, because you're already there. He doesn't need to try, because you're already afraid to lose him. And the more you fear losing him, the faster he slips away. You don't realize it, but every time you text first, every time you say yes to plans that disrespect your time, every time you let him treat you like an afterthought and stay silent, you're training him. You're telling him, I'll be here, no matter how little effort you give me. That's when the boredom sets in. That's when the disrespect starts creeping in. Not because he's evil, but because he's human. And humans don't value what they don't earn. Men are wired to pursue. They fall in love when they invest, not when they receive endlessly. When a man doesn't have to work for your presence, when he knows you'll tolerate his hot and cold energy, his flakiness, his inconsistency, he starts to take you for granted, slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you're no longer his priority, you're his backup plan. And that realization hurts. It makes you feel like you weren't enough, like maybe if you'd been sexier, more understanding, less emotional, he would have stayed. But no, that's the lie your mind tells you when it's trying to make sense of rejection. The truth is, it wasn't your looks. It was your energy. You stopped being the woman he had to rise for. You became the woman who lowered herself just to keep the connection alive. You started accepting crumbs, and now you're starving. Here's what most women don't understand. Detachment is power. Not indifference, not coldness, but the calm knowing that if he doesn't match your energy, you will walk. Not threaten, not play games. Just walk. With dignity and silence. That energy is rare, and men feel it. They respect it. They remember it. If a man senses that your world revolves around him, he won't feel lucky. He'll feel smothered. Because real men don't want to be your life. They want to be inspired by the life you already have. And if your life becomes smaller just to fit him in, you're not inspiring, you're shrinking. And he feels that loss of gravity. Men don't fall for women who beg. They fall for women who glow. That glow comes from boundaries, from having a purpose, from knowing that love should feel safe, but not suffocating, that the right man won't need convincing, that your silence is more powerful than 1,000 paragraphs explaining your worth. But you've probably done the opposite. You've chased. You've asked him what's wrong. You've tried to talk it out, fix it, reconnect the dots. You've sent that one last text hoping it'll remind him of who you are. But listen carefully now. If he's losing interest, stop trying to save the connection. Start saving your self-respect. Because interest that fades without reason isn't love, it's entertainment. And you were never born to be someone's temporary escape from boredom. You were born to be respected, valued, and chosen without hesitation. You teach a man how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you keep forgiving silence, it becomes the language of your relationship. If you keep accepting inconsistency, it becomes the rhythm of your story. You don't get the love you deserve, you get the love you accept. So if he's losing interest, let him. Let him drift. Let him ghost. Let him play his games and silence his phone. And you, don't chase, don't argue, don't beg. Just withdraw. Quietly. Completely. With elegance. Because when you stop showing up for people who don't value you, they notice. Sometimes, the greatest shift in power happens the moment you stop explaining yourself. When your absence speaks louder than your words. When your silence says, "I'm done trying to prove my worth to someone who can't see it." And suddenly, he starts remembering. Not just your face, but your energy, your presence, your mystery. The version of you who didn't try so hard. The version of you he was afraid to lose. But by then, it might be too late. Because a woman who learns how to detach becomes untouchable. She becomes the kind of woman who doesn't chase because she knows what she brings. She becomes the kind of woman who turns down average love because she's no longer starving for validation. She becomes the kind of woman who doesn't fear being alone because her peace became more valuable than his attention. That's the energy you must tap into. So if he's losing interest, let it wake you up. Not into panic, but into power. Because maybe he was never yours. Maybe he was just a mirror, reflecting the parts of you that needed healing, the part that confused attention with affection, the part that thought silence meant safety, the part that believed you had to earn love by giving more of yourself. But love is not sacrifice. Love is not begging. Love is not waiting for breadcrumbs. Love is mutual. It's consistent. It's safe. And if he can't give that, he doesn't deserve front row access to your life. So pull back. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to realign. Realign with your standards. Realign with your peace. Realign with the version of you who knows that you don't have to chase a man who's genuinely interested. That's the secret. When you stop chasing men, the wrong ones disappear, and the right one steps forward. Because confidence isn't loud. It's not drama. It's not games. It's quiet. It's calm. It's walking away without a fight. Because your soul knows that losing him isn't really a loss. It's a return to yourself. So let him go. Not because you don't care, but because you finally care about yourself more. And when he comes back, and trust me, if he ever had any real connection to you, he will. Don't let nostalgia cloud your vision. Don't let lonely nights rewrite history. Remember why you had to walk away. Remember the nights you cried waiting for a reply. Remember the confusion, the self-doubt, the way you begged the universe for a sign. This is your sign. You were never too much. You just gave too much to someone who didn't know what to do with it. Now it's your time to glow again, to rise, to stop shrinking for love and start expanding into your power. Because when a woman falls in love with her peace, with her purpose, with her potential, there is no man on this planet who can make her feel small again. Let that be your new standard. Not love that leaves you anxious, but love that feels like clarity. Love that amplifies your worth instead of making you question it. Love that shows up fully, not just when it's convenient. And if you haven't found that yet, stay single, stay focused, stay high value, because you attract what you believe you deserve. And the moment you stop tolerating low-effort love is the moment everything changes.